do sew what if I sew, or welcome if you're new. My name's Jess and this is my channel all about sewing, dressmaking and all things stitch related. Now I've had a little break. Normally I put out my videos weekly, but last weekend I was finishing my final assignments for the first year of my MA and I decided it was more important to concentrate on that and, you know, actually give myself the weekend to work on those things before filming. So here we are after a little break. Now I asked you guys in my community tab what you want to see. The True Bias pants sew along or yoga leggings sew along. Now I was going to do the Hudson pants and I was like, great, okay, let's do that. However, I did not have the notions I thought I did. For some reason I was convinced I'd bought all the notions to do it earlier in the year, but I haven't. So instead, today I will be doing my yoga leggings sew along, which I'm so excited about because it will be my first project using my overlocker. Here he is. He's called Arnold. Arnold and next to Sally, my lovely singer starlet. I love him so much. He is absolutely amazing, incredibly loud, really need a non-slip mat for him. But I'm very excited to do my first project on my overlocker. The review video for my overlocker will come out in June because I've got most of it done, but I just wanted to sew a project on it to really get to grips with it and give you guys a proper review, because there's nothing worse than a review from someone who's not really used the equipment. So today I'm sure I will have a lot to say about good old Arnold. And to sew this project, because I will be using Lycra, which I'll show you shortly, I will be using a 4-thread ultra stretch mock safety stitch, which has the needles positioned in the middle, and all of my stitch lengths are at 3 because of the kind of heavyweight, or medium to heavyweight of my fabric. If it was proper heavyweight, I would knock the first 2 up to 3.5 and leave the bottom 2 at 3. And likewise, if it was lighter, I'd have the top 2 at 2.5. My differential is set at 1. We'll see how I'm going to sew a bit of Lycra to test it, but it's set at 1 at the moment and we will see how it does. I'm going to sew a test piece of fabric basically to check all my settings are right, but I'm happy so far. He's all ready to go. I gave him a clean last night and everything, so he's defluffed and I'm very excited. So the fabric and pattern for this project. The pattern I'm going to be using as I've said, this is one of my Make 9s, and I'm going to be using the Patterns for Pirates peg leg leggings. It's a free pattern, very easy, very accessible, but I love how many different lengths options there are. So like you can do mid-rise or high-rise, and there's shorts, capri, ankle, knee length, all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit of a workhorse of a pattern, and if I like these I can see I'm already going to make quite a few more. So I'm very excited. It's a very simple pattern. I printed it out this morning, so I will show you guys me putting it together once I've decided which size I'm going to do. And I'm going to decide that size with you guys on camera. So I'm going to show you my fabric and then we're going to do some measuring. I'm going to measure my body with you to establish my size. I thought it would be useful as well for anyone embarking on this journey themselves to see where you measure and how you do it. So we'll do that in a minute. But first of all, let's have a little look at my fabric. So my fabric is from Fabric Godmother. It's Lycra. You may have seen it in my birthday fabric haul. And here we are. So it has got a massive amount of stretch. Let me hold it up to the camera for a bit so you can see some really nice colour. It's a kind of pink, purple, black melange. It's beautiful. It's got a huge amount of stretch widthways and a good amount top to bottom as well. It's going to make some really cosy leggings. It's about a medium weight and it's completely opaque, which is fabulous. So I'm very excited to sew with this actually. In terms of my thread colour, it is multicolour threaded on here at the moment, but all the seams are on the inside anyway, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. What I like about this as well is there's a very distinct right side and wrong side. It doesn't show up super well on the camera, but this is the right side. I don't know if it's obvious. This is the wrong side. In person, this side is a lot shinier. This side is more matte, and you can see more of the actual like texture of the stitching, whereas it's very flat on the front. So that's kind of useful. I'm going to make sure I lay that out the right way. But yeah, these are going to get, if I do them right, I'm so nervous. If I do these right, then I will get a huge amount of wear out of them. For those of you who don't know, alongside my main job as an events manager, I am also a qualified yoga teacher, and I teach once a week on Zoom, which I love because I used to teach in person while I was a student, but obviously with my job it's very difficult to do that and commit to like a weekly in-person slot, whereas getting home and teaching on Zoom is super easy and I love it. So I am really excited and hoping to wear these to my class next week. So let's get going. First job is to measure myself. Today, I should say actually, in honour of Me Made May, I'm wearing a semi-Me Made outfit. So this is my Florence boxy tee from Size Me Sewing, which is made in a really light rust viscose jersey from the rag shop. And this is my Great British Sewing Bee Cocoon Cardi in grey rib knit, which has got a bit of stretch to it, from the Maker's Merchant. I've linked the blog post for this top and the sew along vlog for this cardi below. Now I'm also wearing my favourite pair of yoga leggings. So these are from Sweaty Betty. If I stand up, they've got quite a high waist. I'd like them to be a little bit higher. You can't really see, but they've got like a bum seam there. And then the other seams at the front of the legs, and they've got quite a thick waistband. I've had these leggings since I was 18, so 6 years, wow. And there isn't a hole in sight. They are really like awesome. Also, they are reversible. So there's a fun grey pattern on the other side, which I really like. My only thing I don't like about them is how long they are. So look at that, I have like a big bunch at the ankle, which I don't like. But they are so comfortable. I wear these all the time, whether I'm teaching or not. And I'm wearing them today to remind me what things in a legging fit matter to me. And also so that I can measure myself easily, because I thought that would help. So without further ado, let's begin the measuring process. So you are just going to see my legs for a second, because this is the only way I can get in the correct places I need to measure. So these are my yoga leggings. As you can see from the fit, they ride down a little, like I'd prefer them to be sort of there, but otherwise they're a lovely fit. And they are completely skin tight, so ideal for measuring over. Now, we need a variety of measurements. So starting off, we need our calf. So I'm using inches. I'm going around the widest part of my calf. I've got quite muscly calves. So my calves are 14 and a half, 15 inches. Then we're doing our thigh. So the thigh is, again, widest part of the thigh for me. It's about there actually. It's really helpful having a camera in front of me. So my thighs are 22. And then we need to do the full hip and the high hip. And my full hip, which we're going to do here. So again, it's around the widest part. So that is deep shoulder width apart, 36 and a half. And my high hip is, there we go, so around for the high hip we go on the hip bone. So my high hip is, there we go, 31 and a half. And then waist we do last. The waist is your natural waist, it's not necessarily the waist of your trousers, and it's the smallest part, so there we go. Where are we? Always remember, take a breath in and then relax out. You don't want to puff out your stomach, but you want to be relaxed. You don't want to be sucking in when you do your waist measurement. Okay, 26. So we have our measurements. So my waist falls between the small and extra small. My high hip is again into between the small and extra small. My full hip, however, is, oh god, again, between both sizes, which is annoying. My thigh is in the small, and for some reason my calves are all the way down here. So that's a slightly strange one. I think I'm gonna go with the small, but I might grade the high hip and waist. Like I might do a small waistband and then grade the high, do an extra small waistband and then do the high hip graded to the small, graded from extra small to small maybe, because I want them to fit me properly. But then it's frustrating because I'm 31.5 and the same, like I'm 36.5 in the hip. So I don't want to do the small and it be too big and not move with my body properly. So what I'm going to do now is have a little look at the finished measurements. So obviously it'll stretch a lot, but the extra small is 20.5 inches and the hip is 23.35. So it depends how much stretch there is really, because there's a good amount. I don't want to wear them once and then them stretch out and then be too big. So I think I'm going to go for the small, but do the extra small in the waist and grade here, I think, because I've got, I can print the pattern again if it's not a problem. So yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do an extra small waist and grade between the small, extra small and the small on the hip to high hip ratio. So now the next step is to piece together our pattern and cut it out. So there you've seen me doing some test scraps. So let me find my first one. So I did the settings recommended in the manual. However, they have not worked at all. So that is the first, I don't know if you can see that properly. That is the first go at my stitching. You can see it's quite wobbly. It's really uneven. There's kind of bobbles along the edge here and it doesn't stretch. So you can hear it breaking when it stretches, which is no good at all. So then I had another go at the bottom to see if it was what the problem was. So the blue stitches are fine, which is one of the top needles, which you can't see, I'm pointing at. There we go. So this is one of my top, this is my left-hand needle. Left-hand needle is fine. My green thread goes to my right-hand needle. That seems to be okay, but it was my bottom two. So what I've done is actually, like, those loops, they looked all right, but they weren't very big. So I have reduced the stitch length to 2.5, and then I got this, which already looks a little bit better, but it's kind of rolling a little. As you can see, it's sort of rolling towards me. So my next thing is I'm going to have a quick look in the manual, because I really don't want to mess up any of this. So what I did just do is I also reduced the tension to 3, which seems to have helped. And also I've reduced the differential feed to like 0.8 to see if that helps. And that already looks better and flatter. So I'm going to do one more bit and see if those settings have helped or if there's anything else I need to look at. Okay. So that does look better, but just quite small at the edge. Like I've got it to look bigger on wovens. So I think I might have one more little look at the manual and see if there's any other recommendations for Lycra. I'm not being very careful there because obviously I just want to make sure. So it does already look a lot better, like, than the first one, if I show you that here. you know, this looks pretty wobbly. This does look a lot flatter and a lot better. But I'm going to have one last look and just see if there's anything else, because it doesn't seem to be stretching enough with it, like as much as I would expect it to. But that could just be me not understanding how much it's meant to stretch. Because when I stretch it this way on the long side, that's not cracking anymore, which is good. That's what we want, because four-way stretch and Lycra, this is the main reason I got this machine, is to be able to sew with Lycra and those kind of technical fabrics. So I really want to make sure I spend the time and get my head around this properly. But yeah, I mean, it does look better, but it's just, seems to be my red one might need to reduce a little bit. I'll have a look. I'm going to have one more go, and then I'll let you know what settings I actually start with. So you join me looking slightly dishevelled after an hour and a half of testing stitches and stitch lengths and tensions and all sorts of stuff. However, we're there. We're finally there. A lot of people are telling me to, you know, go and do an overlocker course, but I'm not, quite specifically because I don't want to. One of my favourite things about a sewing machine and, you know, new technical crafts is learning myself and like figuring it out through mistakes and just making sure I have lots of scrap fabric on hand until I'm comfortable. But also, for example, instead of Googling what was wrong with my stitches, I've spent an hour and a half with the manual for the machine. And I have re-threaded the entire machine, and now I can thread an overlocker and it's not scary, it's fine. But also it has changed the way I've understand this row of stitching. So voila, this is our finished settings. Look at that, no cracking, beautiful amount of stretch, and it lays completely flat with some nice big loops. So my red thread ran out on the overlocker, so I've replaced it with a white cone, which actually helped a lot because you can see those loops much, much clearer. So I think I might make them a tiny bit tighter, but otherwise they're okay, they're fine. Now what I have got is my stitch length is on 3, but it seems to work quite well between 3 and 2. And then my tension, my left needle is on 2.5. My right is on 3, and then my loopers are both on 4. And that seems to work for the amount of stretch. So if we look at this, oh, it's actually on here as well. So if we look at this actually, so this is my current one, and this was what I started with. So you can see it's kind of bobbly and wobbly, and you know, the stitches are very small, and there's, you know, it's really stopping it from stretching. Whereas down here, nice big loops, look at that. It's getting to the entire range of motion. So I am now extremely happy with the amount of stretch I've got. So let's get sewing. I'm not going to bother with the memory hem that it asks you to do as the first step, because I'm actually going to do the hem of the leggings on my main machine, and I'm happy with how I'll do that on there. I'm probably going to use my overcast stitch on there. I just think I'm a bit nervous about doing non-cutting stitches on my overlocker at the moment, but we'll see how we do when we get to the hem at the end. The next step we're required to do is to sew up the inside leg of both of our trousers. So let's do that, and we'll end up with 2 trouser tunnels, 1.5 stitch allowance. So I think if I line it up with the edge of the foot plate on the overlocker, that should give me 1.5, like it should be fine. So without further ado, let's have a go. We've got 2 legs. Honestly, I had no idea how quick it was going to be sewing with an overlocker. I'll be done in like an hour. I also, by the way, I just thought I'd tell you guys, I think there's also like a baby version of this pattern as well, and I've seen it's really, really popular. So, you know, if anyone's looking for kind of easy, very simple baby leggings, if the pattern's as easy as the adult ones, we'll be done in 20 minutes. So, there we go. We've got our leggings. It's already so much stretch to them, and look at that lovely seam. perfect, it's stretching with them, it's not rolling, it's looking great, and I'm really chuffed with that. So our next step is to do the crotch seam. So what we need to do is, this leg is wrong side out, we need to get our other leg right side out, ensure that when we feed it down the other leg, the stitching matches, and then we're going to match it all the way up on both sides. So there we go. Now you may have noticed I'm using very few pins because I don't want them to get in the way. Well, I haven't used any pins yet actually, but I don't want them to get in the way of the sewing process with the overlocker, because I imagine hitting a pin with an overlocker is much worse than hitting a pin normally. So I'm just very gently feeding it all through really. But there we are. So you end up with this sort of trouser sock with your seams lined up, making sure these haven't got a gusset, and I've had a lot of people be like, oh, you need to get one with a gusset. I think that's personal choice, and it depends what you're using it for. If I was running in these, I would absolutely be like, gusset, please, need it. But for yoga and things like that, I should be absolutely fine. So here we go. Let's sew our gusset, well, I suppose our crotch line together, and then it'll just be the waistband and hemming. See how quick is that? Really impressive. Right, let's go. And here we go. See how quick was that? We've got a pair of leggings, they just need a waistband. There they are. So that's them inside out, and then if I turn them right way, they look very small, but again, this Lycra stretches so much, I think we'll be okay. Now, there we go. Now I'm noticing there's quite a lot of blue thread coming through, so I don't know if that's a tension thing on the overlocker, or if I just need to press my seams flat first, and then the stitching will shrink, which is what I'm sort of hoping. But it doesn't look tense enough, which I'm kind of annoyed / worried about. I don't want it to just pull apart. But it doesn't look like it will, it's just visible stitching. So I don't know, if anyone's made this pattern before, can you let me know if that's an issue you've had? Like, I'm not expecting these to be incredible because they are the first thing I've ever made with my overlocker only. I think I need to up the tension on the blue. I might quickly try that actually. I'll up the stitch tension and then see if that makes a difference, because I don't really want, you know, I want a nice strong waistband. Not much I can do about the rest of it now, but at least, you know, that'll be something. So I'll test that quickly, and then the next step is, here's our waistband. So we're going to sew it in half. Sorry, we're going to fold it in half and then sew it along here. And then I think it gets folded in half again, and we would attach it like you attach a t-shirt neckband. So together, so in half, basically. Like this, right sides out, stitched, and then basically putting it like this with the raw edge up and stitching around the top, and then it will just fold up, voila, and then we're done. I have actually for once remembered I'd like to put a label in this, so I've got one of my really cute Sew Anonymous Seam Queen labels that I love and I've wanted to put in something for ages, so that's going to sit in there looking adorable. So let me have a quick test of my stitches and see if there's anything that can be done, and then we're pretty much done. It's waistband and hemming. So here we are. Now, having a look at them, I've decided I'm not going to hem them for the moment because Lycra doesn't fray anyway. So I'm just going to see. However, here we are. So I'm slightly annoyed I got that a little bit off centre. I wanted like a nice centre seam. So that's the front. I've managed to put a label in the back. We have an overlock waistband. These literally, I think if I wasn't filming it, I could have done these in half an hour, if that. Probably an hour if you include cutting out the PDF pattern. But I'm so impressed with these, so I'm going to go try them on now. Here we are. So I love the fit of these. I think they're a really nice height. And actually, honestly, I quite like the blue stitching as a feature. I wish now that I've put the waistband on that I'd put the centre seam at the back, because I think that's what you're meant to do. But I thought it looked nicer lined up, and I just didn't think I had I didn't think I had the side that I had, if that makes sense. But you know, I'm actually pretty happy with these for a first go. I'm going to download a sports bra pattern as well and make a matching set. I think that's quite cute. But yeah, I'm really happy with these. The leg length, as predicted, is like to my ankle, which is the reason I'm not going to hem them, because I actually love the length they are. In future, when I make another pair, I'll add an inch on to the capri length, so I can do a little folded under hem. But if I did the folded under, it's just then slightly too short. I prefer it to sit just there, just above my ankle. But they're so comfortable. They're not see-through at all, which is a win. So I'm really happy with these actually. What a quick sew. I didn't expect to be as happy with the pattern as I am, but honestly I love it, and these are my first make using my overlocker. So what have I learned? I've learned that overlockers are a complex beast, and the type of fabric massively impacts the way you would use them. I've learned that this pattern is great and I'll be using it again, and also that it's worth threading and rethreading your overlocker a few times when you get it, because not only obviously does it make it easier to rethread to change the actual colours, but also when there's issues it's a lot easier to fix, because you sort of just, you can unthread and rethread and you know where everything's meant to be. So if you're an overlocker person and you're kind of concerned and you don't know it very well yet, honestly, thread it a couple of times, just again and again, so that you know where everything's meant to be, because it means that when you open the front hatch and have a look at the way the thread is, you know whether it's right or not. So that's what I've learned today. I'm going to go take some pictures of these now. This should be quite a quick sew along, so if you enjoyed this, let me know if there's any other like sporty bits you'd like me to do a sew along for, or if there's any questions you've got on this, let me know. I've linked the fabric if it's still there. I think it is. If not, I'll link something similar. I've linked the fabric, pattern and my overlocker below, and now I'm going to go take some photos in these. So all that remains for me to say is thank you so much for watching. It's been great to vlog again today and to really just get making, and these leggings have very much been like a kind of palette cleanser project for me, and it's nice to know that they are that quick. So these have gone into my file of patterns to make when I'm just not feeling sewing, because I know, you know, 20 minutes in I'll absolutely be ready to sew again. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!